Hello and welcome. In this exciting episode, I am going to make a beaded jacket that looks utterly fabulous in my opinion. So let's begin. At Milan Fashion Week for spring 2017, Dolce & Gabbana showed this jacket, which is absolutely adorable. They also showed a coat, and yeah, I just love it. Obviously, Dolce & Gabbana show lots of pink jackets that are very bling, but this one in particular struck me as something very wearable. I would totally wear this if I had it. I don't like the way Dolce & Gabbana construct their things, because they sort of cut corners to make it more affordable. And but I did like the idea of it. And I have this gorgeous tweed that's pink, bubblegum pink with blue. And yeah, I just thought it would be perfect to try and recreate this jacket. So we begin with the pattern. I'm using this McCall's pattern, which is actually out of print. You can purchase a copy from eBay, or if you don't have a boxy vintage Chanel style jacket pattern, then I would probably go for something like this one here, or this one. You obviously wouldn't do the pockets in either situation, and you just crop it by trace out all the torso patterns and just crop them all by, a few inches to get the right length. This is Vogue 8804 and this one is Vogue 1717. I think they'd be both be pretty suitable patterns if you didn't have something in your pattern stash already. Next is the fabric, and I happen to have this gorgeous bubblegum tweed, which the camera isn't really picking up how pink it is. When you see the finished jacket, I feel like you get how pink it is. But yeah, in this scrap of actual tweed, not sure it comes off. Anyway, it's a gorgeous pink with sort of dark blue plastic raffia and all these different ribbons and things. It's absolutely gorgeous. So this is the fabric I'm using. But if you wanted to do one like the DG jacket, then I'd say a printed cotton from somewhere like Joann's or fabric.com. Just get a sort of structured cotton, like a quilted cotton, something with a sort of all over basic print. Yeah. And once you've decided on your pattern and your fabric, then it's time to cut out the pieces. Because there's going to be so much beading, you also need backing fabric, and I'm using tweed, which always needs backing fabric. So basically you just cut out all the pattern pieces in your actual fabric, then you cut out another set of pieces in your backing fabric. And so this pink netting here that you can see is the backing fabric. So yep, I've cut those out. Once I had all the backing pieces, then I spread out my actual fabric, so the bubblegum and blue tweed, and I pinned all my backing pieces to it. So I had all the pieces of the jacket laid out on my workbench, pinned to the actual fabric. Then I stitched the two layers together with pink so that it wouldn't be seen once the jacket was made. And then I went around the outside of each of the pieces, and I stitched orange so that I knew which areas I could bead and which areas I had to leave clear for seams. Okay, this is completely awesome. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to... I can see them really clearly. I'm not sure whether they're coming across. Oh yeah. Ugh. This fabric looks a little bit, a lot peachy on the camera. whereas it's really a bubblegum pink in real life. It's adorable. Anyway, so you can see the outline of each piece. So this is the side back, and then anyway, you can see each piece. Oh, there, you can see the outside of the sleeve. Yeah. So now I am just going to do the beading. Obviously on the top of the underarms, I won't be doing much beading at all. But, and yeah, as I said, on the inside of the front of the jacket, no beading at all there either. But everywhere else, there's just going to be a fair smattering of beads. So I guess I just have to get out the beads and check one more time which ones I'll be using on this adorable yet impossible to work with fabric. Well, here's a selection of beads. I like all of them individually, but I don't think they necessarily go terribly well together. I think we'll set those aside. And yeah, I don't like the white patch on those. They're sprayed glass beads, and those they're gorgeous, but I think they're the wrong blue and just a little too large. Those ones, yeah, no. Those ones I quite like. They're a good size. The slightly larger porcelain ones though, I think they're a little bit too fragile, and yeah, they are absolutely gorgeous, but I've only got a handful of them, and I'm just not sure. When you use porcelain beads on the beaded trim, they're surrounded by other beads, so they have the protection of all the other beads, whereas just as embellishment, yeah, I think you sort of risk them breaking or chipping much more. Those I think I'll save for one of the navy blue tweeds. These ones, I really think these glass pearls go so well with this. Bugle beads, yep, like them in both colors. These I was originally going to use in the, when I was going to do beaded trim on this, and they would have been adorable, but they've got a little bit too much height, because once you put the bead in them, they sort of stand up. So yeah, they've got a little too much height for embellishment, and I really do feel like that's the wrong blue for this. It just makes the blues of the tweed seem so much grayer when you have them on there. So I think I'll take away the ones that I'm not going to use, and we'll have a look. Obviously in the D&G jacket, they just sort of bought really big embellishments and they bedazzled it. I think they just sort of punched them on. But yeah, I prefer doing hand embroidery and hand beading, so that's why I chose the beads I've chosen. But any craft store or fabric store will have jewels that you can punch on or glue on, I suppose. But yeah, for me, I like hand sewing and hand beading, so that's the path I've chosen. Okay, I think I have worked out the balance of the beads. I'm not sure because I've never actually done a full embellishment on a jacket before, so I'm not sure how many beads I'm going to use. But I've got, so this is the front, the back, and I've divided the sleeves box into two halves, so one's left, one's right. So yeah, we shall see. I've also got some other smaller beads that I can sort of put in between. But yeah, I think we'll see how this, I'll just pour this out so you can see. I have finished one whole panel, 50 billion more to go. Yeah, I really like it. I am concerned about the unraveling of the tweed. I guess if you bought a little bit extra, you could just put masking tape along the tweed on both sides, and then when you're ready, just cut it off and throw it away. But it always kind of feels like cheating to me. I just want to be able to work with something this delicate. I want to be able to do it with confidence. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I was concerned that the beading was a little bit too dark, and it's sort of, I don't know, it just, the camera doesn't really show you, but it just felt like it wasn't pink anymore. It was just really, really dark and almost black and a really, really dark blue. So I went and had a coffee, and then I looked at it again, and I was also concerned about the tweed fraying. But yeah, I decided to undo this beading, and I decided that the best way of constructing this jacket would be to sew it all up and then do the beading, because I'd done this other jacket. This one here where I've just put bugle beads over it, and this was, I just sort of half made this jacket, and then I remembered I had these bugle beads in the pastel primary colors, and I just thought it would be so perfect on this, because underneath the bugle beads, there's, under the pink is pink, under the blue there's blue, and under the yellow there's yellow, and I just thought that would be really cute. But I hadn't, so I'd already half made the jacket when I decided to add the beads for this one, and I thought that was probably, in retrospect, the wrong way to construct it. But yeah, having done this one and trying to do it like the beading before I sewed together all the pieces, oh my god, it was just impossible. So I decided to go back to this method and undo those blue beads, that one panel of blue bead, really dark blue beads, and yeah, sew up the jacket and then do the beading again. So I had to undo that beading I'd just done. I did an excellent job of attaching these beads. I'm having to go along and cut off each one individually and then carefully pull out the thread. So once I'd cut out all the pieces, I started pinning them together to sew together the jacket. But I realized that the beading I was doing was actually really, really heavy. And at this point, I'd only done one panel and then pulled it apart. But yeah, I just realized how heavy the entire finished jacket was going to be. And I thought, instead of having one backing layer, maybe I should take this opportunity to cut out an extra one or two backing layers and pin them on and then stitch them on and then sew up the jacket. So that's what I did. It was a total pain, but what I did was cut out an extra two backing pieces of every single piece of the jacket. So that way it was it was really stiff and really difficult to work with. But the finished jacket just carries the weight of all those beads so much better now. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using at least 2 or 3 backing layers instead of just the usual one. And once I'd machine sewn all the pieces together, I hand stitched down the seams, the seam allowance on the inside. Now it was time to bead again, and I decided to add some lighter color blue beads. They're still grey scales, so they've sort of got a bit of blackness in the bead. But yeah, I just thought that would lighten the whole piece and not make it look sort of blacky blue. It would show more of the pink through. So yeah, then I went through the very time-consuming process of beading. I've now completed the beading on most of the torso, and I've started the sleeves, and the back's done too. And yeah, I'm really happy with the choice. I did end up adding a few of the larger plastic ones back in, and but I'm really glad that I used a lot of the light ones and basically just used grayscale blue beads and none of the really vibrant one, because in my opinion only using the grayscale beads and none of the really vibrant one has really brought out these sort of beautiful depths of the pink. And it's also made all the blue, like that plastic raffia and the really black, dark grayish blue, just seem really vibrant. It looks absolutely gorgeous in the sunlight. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. I do feel like it's made the tweed seem less 3D. It sort of looks more like that Dolce & Gabbana jacket that's printed on just printed cotton rather than this textured tweed. So I'm a little disappointed with that. I have finally finished all the beading on both the sleeves. I also went back and did a little bit more on the front of the torso. And once that was done, I've taken out the orange thread around the armholes, the sleeve holes and the collar that were marking where I couldn't bead. So now it is time to attach the sleeves. So I will pin them into place. Both sleeves are pinned. It's time to sew them with the machine. Well, this is adorable. So I sewed the sleeves and then I turned them out and checked that there were no pucks or catches or anything. And once I saw that they were fine and they were even, then I turned it back inside out and reinforced. So I went round again. And then now I've cut down the, you can't really see. I've cut down the seam allowance in the bottom half of the sleeve, just down to a minimum, and cut notches. You can't really see the notches. So now I will stitch the remaining seam allowance to the inside of the jacket. And once I've done that, I have to go back and add all the beading around the sleeves, around the joint, so that they match. And I also have to hem the cuffs and the whole jacket. So I will do those steps now, but it is looking adorable. Very happy with this. Ooh, exciting footage of me pinning the hem before I stitch it. Okay, so I've done the sleeves and they are looking rather fabulous, if I do say so myself. Beautiful and round. So now, and I've also done the hem and the cuffs, and I had to get out a shoebox so that I didn't realize how long they were. They're absolutely awesome. I love them this length. So now what I have to do is just go back and carefully add the beads in those just couple of rows that are missing them around the sleeves, the front, the top and the back. There we go. The beading around the arms is done. Still have the collar to go. So now I will make the lining out of navy blue silk, and then I will lay out the jacket and I will put the lining on top, pin that, and then I will machine sew them all together and hand stitch down the seam allowances. Next, it's time to turn everything inside out and pin the collars together, then machine sew them. Once I'd sewn once, I checked the line and made sure everything was okay, and then I reinforced it by sewing another line. Then I cut down half the seam allowance and clipped the collar, so cut in notches so it would sit properly. Then I turned it out the correct way, and then I did the beading around the collar. so that everything was done. Next, I pinned all the layers together and so that I could top stitch. Now the top stitching is done. It is time to pull the lining sleeves through the jacket sleeves and hem the cuffs, and then you also have to pin under the edge of the lining on the jacket and hand stitch the hem. And here we have the finished jacket. It's so pretty, and look at those shoulders. Gorgeous. I'm so happy with this. It is a little bit heavy to wear, but I mean, it's no heavier than a vintage jacket, vintage coat, and all the weight is really well balanced. So yeah, it's so pretty. I guess it doesn't look a whole lot like the inspo jacket. Mine is a lot bluer, but that's just because I really wanted to match the tweed that I was using. I guess I could make another one using printed pink cotton, like the original DG jacket. Maybe I'll do that later on in summer or something, or maybe next year. It was a lot of beading. So yeah, but I'm really happy with this one. And I have some other fabrics, other tweeds that would look fabulous with this type of beading. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I know it's not exactly like the DG jacket, but I'm really happy with it. So thank you for watching, and have fun making your own beaded jacket.